There is a nail in the north gate of the farmhouse at Hougoumont. You put it there yourself, 3 hours before dawn, when the gate was still whole and the wood still smelled of old pine and damp straw. You found the nail in the courtyard mud, bent almost double, and you straightened it against the stone wall with the butt of your brown bess, because you had nothing else to do with your hands. Because doing something with your hands was the only way to stop thinking about what the morning would bring. You kept it. You do not know why. A bent nail from a farmyard in Belgium, straightened against a wall you had never seen before and will never see again. You put it in the small pocket inside your cartridge box, where another man might keep a letter or a lock of hair, and you told yourself it was nothing. The pocket also holds a button. Not a guard's button, not the brass kind with the crown and the cipher that you have had replaced twice in 7 years. This one is bone. It came from your father's coat, the brown wool coat he wore every winter of your childhood in the village outside Taunton. The coat that smelled of sawdust and tallow because he was a carpenter who burned tallow candles in his workshop from October through March. He died in the winter of 1809 when you were in Portugal. You did not get the letter until April. By then, the coat had already been given away. Your sister kept one button. She gave it to you at Canterbury 2 years later when the battalion came home. You do not think about the button. You think about the nail. The nail is the thing you chose. The button is the thing you were given. There is a difference, even if you cannot say what it is. The 1st Foot Guards have held this position since the evening of the 17th. You know it by its smell before you know it by its shape. Cattle dung and old hay and the particular sharpness of trampled vegetable garden. A chateau, a farmyard, a barn, an orchard, and 4 walls that Colonel MacDonald tells the company will be the hinge of the entire Allied line. You do not know enough about hinges to know what that means for the men inside them. What you know is the wall. 6 feet of old Belgian stone, thick enough to stop a musket ball, not thick enough to stop a 12-pounder at 60 yards. The Coldstream have loopholed the south and west faces overnight, chipping the mortar with bayonet points and the blades of entrenching tools. You watched 2 of your men do the same on the north face in the grey light before dawn, their hands raw from the work, their breath making small clouds in the June cold. June cold. You did not expect it to be cold. You have been in this coat for 19 hours. The red has darkened to something closer to rust at the collar and the cuffs, and the white of the crossbelts has gone grey from the dust of the road from Brussels. Your shako sits crooked because the chin strap was repaired with twine in March, and the twine has stretched. There are 375 men in this position. That is the number Lieutenant Wyndham gave you last evening. You have spent the night dividing that number by things, divided by the number of gates, divided by the length of wall you can hold per man, divided by the number of rounds in each man's cartridge box, 60, and the number of volleys that represents, and how long 60 rounds lasts when the French come in column formation and do not stop. The answer is never long enough. You stop doing the arithmetic when the first cannon fires, not because you are afraid, but because the sound moves through your chest the way a door slams in an empty room, and for a moment you cannot feel anything clearly enough to count. The first French assault comes from the south. They come through the orchard. Later, in the reports, it will be called a feint, a diversion, the opening move of Riley's corps on the right. You do not know any of that yet. What you know is that the orchard fills with men in blue, and that the men on your right open fire, and that the smoke from the first volley swallows the orchard entirely. The French become sounds in the grey-white nothing beyond the wall. The sound of a column moving in formation is not like anything else. It is not footsteps. It is a pressure, a rhythm, the kind of sound that does not register as noise but as weight. You have heard it twice before, at Talavera and at Salamanca. Each time the part of you that does the arithmetic stops working, and the part of you that simply acts takes over, and you are grateful for it. Your section is at the north gate. You are not in the orchard. You are 40 yards away listening to other men fight, and this is its own kind of difficulty. The waiting has a texture. It presses against the inside of your ribcage. The man on your left is named Brindle. He has been in the Guards for 3 years, and he came from somewhere in Lancashire, and he talks about his wife too much, the way men do when they are afraid of forgetting her face. He is not talking now. He is looking at the gate with the expression men get when they are already imagining what comes through it. You tell him to look at the wall, not the gate. He looks at the wall. The gate comes at 11:30. They come from the west, through the wood on the left of the chateau, and there are enough of them that you hear them before you see them. The drums, the pas de charge, the particular cadence that means they are not slowing down and they are not forming for a volley exchange, and they mean to break the gate with their bodies, if they have to. Colonel MacDonald is at the gate when the axe hits it. You are 12 yards back, formed up, watching. The axe is a pioneer's axe, the large kind with the long handle, and the man swinging it is large enough that the first blow cracks the upper hinge and the second splits the wood at the crossbar. The gate gives. It does not give all at once. It gives in stages, the way a man gives when he is held too long, the wood splintering in a pattern that looks almost deliberate, almost chosen. Then the gap is wide enough and they come through. 30 of them, perhaps 40, in the courtyard. MacDonald shouts something you cannot hear over the cannon on the ridge. What happens next is not a battle. It is a room. It is 4 walls and 40 men, and the particular violence of a space too small for weapons long enough to be useful. You fire your brown bess into the mass at 6 feet and the flint strikes clean and the ball goes where you pointed it. You do not stop to see where it went, because you are already reversing the musket and using the stock the way you were taught in 1808. You do not count. You do not think. Your body counts for you. MacDonald gets the gate closed. You are not sure how long it takes. It takes less time than it feels like it takes, and more time than it could possibly have taken, and you will spend years unable to give a number when people ask you. The gate closes on the difference, and you hear the ones outside for another moment, and then you do not hear them. The silence in the courtyard lasts 4 seconds. Then the cannon on the ridge answers something, and the world is noise again. You count the men in the courtyard. It is the thing sergeants do, the first thing before anything else, because the count is the only truth available in the minutes after an action. 23 men on their feet. 3 on the ground who are moving. 2 on the ground who are not. One of them is Brindle. You know it before you reach him because of the coat. The tear at the shoulder is the one he showed you last week, complaining about it, asking if you thought the quartermaster would issue him a replacement. You told him to mend it himself. He had not mended it. He is breathing when you kneel beside him. He looks at you with the expression that means he does not understand what has happened yet. The expression of a man who cannot locate the damage by feel alone and is waiting for someone to tell him where to look. You tell him to be still. You do not tell him the other thing. You stand up. The wall is holding. The gate is holding. The firing from the south and west has not stopped, but it has changed character, becoming more ragged, less rhythmic, which means they are not pressing with a full column anymore. You reach into the cartridge box. The nail is still there. You do not take it out. You leave your fingers on it for a moment, the bent, straightened iron of it, and then you pull out a cartridge instead and tear the paper with your teeth and begin to reload. The Battle of Waterloo lasts 9 hours. The defense of Hougoumont lasts all 9 of them. Inside the walls, time does not move in hours. It moves in volleys and intervals, in the gap between one assault and the next, in the seconds between the cannon on the ridge and the sound of the ball landing, in the number of cartridges remaining in the box, which you count each time you reload. By early afternoon, you have 17 left. The barn is on fire. It has been on fire since before noon, when French artillery lobbed a howitzer shell into the haystack at the south end. The fire has moved in the way fire moves when there is no one to stop it, methodically, without urgency, consuming each thing in sequence. The smoke from the fire is a different color than the smoke from the muskets, thicker and darker, and it moves differently, not horizontally like powder smoke, but upward. You can see it from inside the courtyard as a column against the pale June sky. The wounded are in the garden. There are 11 of them now. Brindle is among them. You do not go to the garden. There is nothing useful you can do in the garden, and there are things you can do at the gate, so you stay at the gate. The drums come again at 2. You do not know which direction. Smoke has been lying in the low ground since the first hours of the battle, and inside the walls, the smoke is its own weather, shifting with the wind. For long minutes, the world narrows to 15 yards in any direction, and the enemy becomes a sound and a direction and a count of flashes in the grey. 12 cartridges. 9. 6. At 5, a runner comes from the ridge with a message for Colonel MacDonald that you do not hear. But MacDonald straightens when he reads it, and the straightening is enough. The firing stops in stages, the way a fire stops, unevenly, in pockets, with small resumptions that feel like it might start again before, finally, it does not. The last shot you hear is a musket, off to the southeast, single, answered by nothing. Then it is evening. Hougoumont stands. The chateau is partially burned. The barn is gone. The south wall has taken musket fire for 9 hours and is still standing. The stone pocked and scarred, but unbroken. When you put your hand against it, you can feel nothing. It is only stone. It does not give anything back. Wellington will write, afterward, that the success of the battle turned on the closing of the gates at Hougoumont. He will not name MacDonald, and he will not name you. The record will say the first foot guards held the position. It will say the position was held. It will not say what 12 separate assaults costs a man over 9 hours, what the body does with 9 hours of that kind of arithmetic. You walk through the courtyard as the light goes. There are things on the ground that you step around. You have learned to do this without looking directly. Your feet have learned it. Brindle is alive. The ball went through the flesh of his upper arm and did not find bone, and the surgeon who came in at 4 says he will keep the arm. Brindle did not seem to hear this at first. Then he did. You watched his face when he understood it, and you looked away because that expression is not the kind of thing you look at. You sit against the north gate as the dark comes. The gate was repaired, the crack in the wood braced with a board from the barn before the barn caught. You can still feel the split in the wood through your back when you sit against it. You sit there for a long time, not moving, not thinking, doing the thing the body does when it has used everything and there is nothing left to use. You reach into the cartridge box. The button is in the pocket. Bone, smooth, the edge worn softer than the center. Your thumb finds the edge and follows it around, the whole circumference, and then back to the center. You do not take it out. You reach into the other pocket, the small one. The nail is there. You take it out and hold it in your palm in the dark and feel the shape of it, the straight line of it. Iron that was bent and is now something else. In the morning, there will be a muster. Your name will be called and you will answer, and the record will note that Sergeant Francis Dodd, 1st Foot Guards, was present at Hougoumont on the 18th of June 1815 and survived. The record will not note what you are holding. You close your hand around the nail. The gate is behind your back. It is still whole.